Welcome to Edupreneur webinar number 7, entitled Secure Lucrative Contracts. I would love for you to share in the chat what your preferred name is, as well as if you have a name for your business. If not yet, then tell us what the idea is for your business. Tell us what the inspiration is behind your business as well. And then what are your expectations of today? We are talking about how to secure lucrative contracts. What are your expectations? Let's get it started. Do want you to know that today's webinar is brought to you by the Edupreneurship Academy, where we hope that you can convert your teaching expertise into revenue. I am Dr. Erica Jewell, a practitioner, edupreneur, and researcher. I do hold a PhD in educational studies for diverse populations. I am also a national board certified teacher as an exceptional needs specialist. This is the close of my 18th year in education. Of those 18 years, I spent 12 years as a practitioner in urban public schools. And this is also my 11th year as an edupreneur. I don't share this to be boastful, but I do want to let everyone know that I do not hold an MBA. I have not gone to school for marketing or anything concerning business. What I have learned has been through trial and error. It has been through much research, some hair tearing out, some sweat and tears, but I share with you the information that I have curated just for you. I love working with other edupreneurs because we have distinct skill sets that we can monetize, but sometimes we don't know how to do that. So that's why we're here. I give you a challenge every time we get together. Again, this is webinar number 7 of 9. This is our 7th challenge. Here's the challenge. I challenge you to change your thoughts. If you're thinking it's too risky, or it's too late for me to start, or it's too advanced for me, I want you to stop thinking that way. Take it's too out of your thoughts. Take it out of your brain. It's too, nope, no longer will we do that. But what I want us to think about and say is, it's not too. Type in the chat, it's not too, it's not too late. It's not too hard. It's not too, whatever it is for you, that it's not too for you to do, type that in the chat. Today, I do ask that each of you would be an active listener. Make sure that you're paying attention. And I also would love for you to participate. You can come off mute if you would like to, use the raise your hand feature, or you can simply type your thoughts in the chat. But definitely participate. I am a facilitator. I love to educate little people, but I also love to educate adults, but I understand what it means to be a facilitator. So I do ask that you participate today. And if you so desire, take notes. I am going to give you some information today that will be a little top heavy. I'll say that now. It'll be a little top heavy, so you may want to take notes. But if you miss anything, I'll send you the playback so that you can go back and look at it. And finally, if you have any questions, you can put those in the chat, or you can come off mute and ask those at any time. So I do want to define a few words and terms for you. An edupreneur, according to my definition, is an educator with an entrepreneurial mindset. Oftentimes we as classroom teachers, as school administrators, we have an entrepreneurial mindset. We're probably using our entrepreneurial skills in our classrooms, in our schools, and in our districts, but we don't realize that we're actually edupreneurs. Some people use the term teacherpreneur. We can use those interchangeably. I've also coined a phrase called the edupreneurial orbit. I define it this way. An edupreneurial orbit is a dynamic network of relationships and connections that you as the edupreneur use to cultivate and enhance yourself personally as well as professionally. Your edupreneurial orbit is also a support and improvement mechanism for your business. We want you to be profitable and your edupreneurial orbit can help you to do that. I do firmly believe that all edupreneurs should have an edupreneurial orbit in order to be successful. Now let's get into the good stuff. Let's talk about how do I secure lucrative contracts. Before we begin, I will let you know that I realize that some educators have expertise, skill sets, and abilities that are not directly tied to education as it relates to your side hustle or your business. Okay, for example, I have worked with a special education teacher by day, but a baker by nights, weekends, and summers. Okay. But the information I'll share with you today about securing lucrative contracts is mainly going to be on the side of using your educational expertise and leveraging that for lucrative contracts. Okay. If you want to talk about those non-education related types of hustles and businesses, then please contact me offline and we can set up a one-on-one for that. All right. My objective today is to give you an overview of President Biden's Department of Education budget for the 2025 fiscal year. So we'll talk a little about that. And then I'm going to describe how you can tap into the available funding that is coming down from the federal government. And I'll also share some steps for you to secure contracts. Spoiler alert, I will not give you all of the steps. There are 7 steps. I'll tell you what they are, but I won't dig too deeply into all of them. If you want more information, please consider joining the Edupreneur Mastery Series. Okay, so how much do you think is in the Department of Education's budget? President Biden proposed a budget to be approved for the Department of Education. How much money do you think he approved? It's a lot. I can tell you that. It's a lot of money. Okay. So he's approved us, he has proposed a certain amount of money. But now I'm curious, how much do you think he budgeted for Title I funds? Title I funds is just a subset of the overall amount. I'll give you the overall amount, but I'm curious about Title I now. Okay. For Title I alone, he is proposing $18.6 billion. Title I alone, just Title I funding. Oh my goodness. Oh my, 18.6 billion. That's billion with a B. Okay. Now tell me this. If you had to guess, about what percentage of our American schools actually receive Title I funds? What percentage? I know I'm giving you a pop quiz today. You're like, wait, ma'am, I don't know these answers. But just take a guess. What do you think that percentage is? Of course, I'm going to tell you. What do you think it is? 90%. Do you see this? 90% of school districts in America receive some amount of the Title I funding. You see that 18.6 billion, remember, with a B? 90% of schools get this funding. Why does this matter to me? Why? It matters because if you're providing services to school districts in America, the funds are there. The funds are there to pay you and to pay you well. Let's keep going. Overall, President Biden's budget request for the 2025 fiscal year, $82.4 billion for education alone. We're educators, aren't we? $82.4 billion. Now, mind you, all of this money is not up grabs for us. We're consultants, contractors, providing professional development, providing services and products to schools and districts. But $82.4 billion, that's a lot of money, isn't it? I believe so. So check this out. His goals. the goals for which he is asked for this $82 billion. He wants to spur the nation's future prosperity. He wants to accelerate academic growth. He also wants to bolster mental health supports for students at all levels. He wants to advance the needs of students with disabilities. He wants to increase affordability and quality in higher education. And finally, he wants to improve connections between the K-12 system, higher education, and the workforce. Why does this matter? This matters because in order for you to secure those lucrative contracts, you need to know what the goals are. How can the goals help you? Here's how. You find one or two of these goals that fit into your niche, that fit into the services and the products that you provide, and then you make a case for you to provide those products and services. You see where I'm going with this? 82 billion. Remember that. $82 billion. Here are the goals. Make whatever your contract is line up with one or two of these goals. Okay. Let's dig into what that actually would look like. So, like I've just said, you can secure lucrative contracts if your business offers specific services that are outlined in the budget. It's important for you to know what those goals are. Okay. So let's look at some more details concerning the budget. There are Title III funds. These funds are allocated for the education of the disadvantaged. So if you offer something in the way that supports or provides services surrounding chronic absenteeism, and I'm talking to my nonprofit people too, right? This is not just for profit. Chronic absenteeism, if you can solve or help to solve chronic absenteeism for students, there's a plug-in. School improvement. Do you have expertise in school improvement? SEL, social and emotional learning. There are funds specifically allocated to each of these bulleted points. Of course, STEM, school safety, charter school programs, special education, FAFSA simplification, veteran student success, English learners. Here are a few different places where you can plug in for your services. And as I said on the previous slide, there may be a few of these that you can plug into not just one, you may be able to plug into 2 or 3 of them. So according to the budget, which I have it here, according to the budget, there is a section for preschool to 12th grade education, okay? So here are the bullets. I'll give them to you and I'll explain a few of them. But again, if you want to go more in depth on the last set of them, then you'll have to join me in the Edupreneur Mastery Series. So let's talk about the first one. Support academic achievement for all students, especially in schools with high poverty rates. Remember, Title I, especially in schools with high poverty rates. Is that something that you can do? Okay, so according to the budget, it says critical funding for schools in low-income communities helps them to provide their students with learning opportunities needed to recover academically from the COVID-19 pandemic and be successful after graduation. What does that look like? That looks like providing tutoring. That looks like providing remediation or remedial services for students to get them caught up. If they are not on grade level, for example, if you can come in and offer your services to help students get caught up, put that lingo in your proposals, put that lingo in your contracts, because that is the expectation for what you are providing. There is funding specifically for that. So think about those low-income schools and figure out how you can plug in to provide them the services that are outlined in the budget. The second one, expand access to high quality preschool. So you may say, well, I don't have expertise in elementary, middle, or high school education. My expertise is more in early childhood. Here's where you can plug in. Over the next 10 years, it says, this proposal would dramatically expand access to effective early childhood education, ensuring students enter kindergarten ready to learn. This may look like you opening a child care facility. And when you open that child care facility, you have access to grant funding, especially if you tout yourself to prepare students to be kindergarten ready, right? So when we're talking about using the lingo that is outlined, use those terms, kindergarten ready, okay? Early childhood education. Don't just say, I want to open a daycare. No, I want to open an early childhood education center, right? Your terminology makes a difference. When you're looking to secure lucrative contracts, make sure you watch what you say and how you say it. Bolster mental health supports. Some of you may be school counselors. Some of you may be social workers. There is a plug-in here. Okay, so they want to use the funds to help increase the number of school-based counselors, psychologists, social workers, and other mental health professionals in K-12 schools. Let's say you're already working in a K-12 school. Let's say you're already a school counselor. There's funding available for you as the school counselor to go and provide workshops for other school counselors. Do you see how I'm thinking here? Look at what is outlined in the funding and see what needs you can meet. Does that look like professional development for this particular group of people? And how can I provide that? Okay. But the goal for this piece is to increase the number. So your trainings may be written up where you say, this will help with retention of counselors. This will help with increasing or recruiting the number of social workers. But you provide that service, you've got to figure out how to actually provide it. And then you write it up well and submit it for approval. Now, the next four are off limits. Again, that information will be available in the Edupreneur Mastery Series should you decide to join me there. Okay, let's keep going. When we look at education beyond high school, so thinking about post-secondary education, the goal in the budget is to improve college affordability and provide free community college. The goal is to invest in services for student borrowers, reduce college costs for students, eliminate the origination fee of student loans, reimagine the transition from high school to higher education, support students through graduation, and expand institutional capacity at different types of colleges that serve specific groups of people. So for this, think about how you can plug into this. Again, I see opportunities for nonprofit organizations here as well. When you think about reducing college costs for students, if you are a for-profit, I don't know that that's easily possible for you to do. You may be able to do it. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's something to consider. A nonprofit may be able to fundraise and help offset those costs. So be thinking about for-profit, nonprofit. And remember, we talked in our other webinar about how your business is structured. So a nonprofit corporation has opportunities here as well. There are other key priorities that are outlined in the budget, such as strengthening civil rights enforcement and advancing opportunities and managing risks of AI. Let's say information technology is in your wheelhouse. You may be able to provide services for schools, specifically Title I schools, to help them manage the risks of AI. Most school districts now have their own education technology departments. So maybe you could even offer your services to those who are working in the education technology section of or departments of those districts. Now, here are the 7 steps to securing lucrative contracts. I'm going to dig into a few of them, but join me in the Edupreneur Mastery Series for the others. Number 1, conduct in-depth profit research. This is important. Before you do anything, I want you to research your market, okay? So you can do this by investigating what are the specific needs and pain points of nearby schools and districts. What are their needs? What are they in need of? You don't want to walk in the door and offer them something that they don't need. You also need to understand their challenges and then tailor your services or products to address those gaps. It is okay for you to have a list or a menu of offerings, but it's also okay for you to use that menu and to be able to customize or tweak it based on the needs of the schools and the districts that you're interested in serving. Also, it's important for you to stay up to date on the educational trends and policy changes. You need to know what those trends are so when you walk in, you're giving them the up to date information that they need. It's important for you to network. I want you to network. We've talked about it before in our other webinar, but I want you to network and I want you to promote your business consistently. You are your own brand, but you also want to promote and network, meet people, talk to them. When you introduce yourself, tell them about your business. Okay, so engage in conversations about the value and the benefits of your services. Why is your service or product important? What's the value in it? Go to those educational conferences, workshops, community events. Build true relationships with people because they may be your potential client, or if they aren't, they may be able to connect you to your next customer or client. And of course, utilize social media and professional networks to showcase your expertise and success stories. I have been enjoying myself as I've been posting different reels with the tips from each of our webinars. This has been so fun for me to record videos, give out tips, but it's also giving me some feedback from those that are in my networks. Also, it's important for you to expand your skill set. Please be open to learn new skills. Please be open, okay? Be open to growing. As educators, we tout and we always promote education. Wherever learning, we should be. We want our students to always be learning. So we too should continue to hone our skills, learn new things that will complement your core offerings. So remember, I mentioned that menu of options that you offer or services or products. Be willing to expand on them and to add to them. That's what this is talking about too. You can also complete courses. Go back and get another degree. That's fine. Get more certifications that are in the areas that are in demand within the educational sector. You can build strong proposals and presentations. This is so important. This is one of the things that I actually enjoy talking to people about because I like for my presentations to be engaging. I like colors. I like big pictures. I like nice size fonts where you can read what's on the screen. That is important as well for you to secure contracts. Because what if a school administrator wants you to come in and sell to them whatever your service or product is? You want your visual presentations to be appealing. So make sure that they're clear, they're detailed, and make sure that they're highlighting your unique value, the unique value of your offerings. And if necessary, if you're not good at going off the cuff, make sure you practice delivering your presentations in a persuasive way, but do it in a way where you're touting and you're showing what your expertise is. Okay. And the rest of that is off limits. Join me in the Edupreneur Mastery Series for the remaining details. All right, it is time for me to give you some tips and tricks I'll go through our first 6, and then I'll give you number 7's tip for today's webinar. Tip number 1 was for you to record all ideas that come to your mind as soon as possible. And we talked about you doing that by having an idea book. Write your ideas in an idea book. You can write them or put them down in your notes app, or you can also put them in your voice memos app. Tip number 2 was to intentionally expand your edupreneurial orbit. Remember, I said your edupreneurial orbit is important to the success of your business and even the profitability of your business. Intentionally expand that orbit, add more people to it. You can serve on school and nonprofit boards, volunteer for committee and coalition opportunities, and you can also present at conferences. Number 3, I want you to give adult learners TMI. T, time to process information. M, movement opportunities. And I, interaction activities. Number 4 was give your brand a personality. Your brand should have a personality. You do this by defining and expressing your brand's values, develop a unique brand voice, and create visual identity and experiences. Tip number 5, I told you it's important for you to market in reams, not just in sheets. You can do this with the acronym I created, REAM, R-E-A-M, R, reach, by sharing content across multiple platforms. E, engage with your audience to create a loyal community. A, amplify the impact by repurposing and cross-promoting your information. And then M, measure your marketing effectiveness and optimize your strategies. Number 6 was say it's copyrighted. It's copyrighted, not copywritten. Copyrighted, not copywritten. If you missed my video, you need to go to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even on LinkedIn. Look at my video. Say it's copyrighted. Say the word copyrighted. Don't say copywritten, but you also say that your intellectual property is copyrighted by including the word copyright followed by the copyright symbol. This can be on an actual document that you've produced, or this can be on your website. After that, put the name of the copyright owner or the author of the work. Then you want to add the year that the content was published. And finally, you want to end it by saying all rights reserved. And now, tip number 7. I want you to break free from the teacher poor mindset. If there's anything that keeps us back as edupreneurs in our businesses, it's this teacher poor mindset that we have. We've got to break free from it somehow. Here's how I suggest that you do that. First thing you need to do is identify your unique skills and expertise. Whether that means you type them out, you write them down. Find out what are your unique skills. What are you good at? What is it that is in your wheelhouse? What is it that you innately do without much effort? What are those things? Write those down. Then I want you to research the market rate for your product or service. You know what you do well. And so then from there, you determine what product or service you provide. And I want you to research what's the market rate for that particular product or service. If you're an education consultant, for example, that may look like you searching for what is the annual income of an educational consultant. And do a little research and see what's the going rate, what's the hourly rate, what is the annual rate or annual income number. Do your own market research. Then I want you to use that research tied to your expertise and determine what your rate is without undercutting yourself. We have a tendency to undercut ourselves, and I say this from experience. I have undercut myself many, many times before I got to the place where I accepted I've got to switch this channel of teacher poor mindset off, and I need to think more like a business owner, an edupreneur that is successful and profitable. Determine what your rate is, but don't undercut yourself. And then finally, I want you to communicate your value and your fees with conviction. I don't care what anybody else says. Here's my rate. Take it or leave it. So there you have it. Break free from the teacher poor mindset. Here's how you do it. Identify your unique skills and expertise. Research the market rate for your product or service. Determine your rate without undercutting your expertise, and communicate your value and fees with conviction. Well, we are almost done with our webinars. We've completed the first 3. We've completed the other 6. And as of today, we have now completed webinar number 7. There are 2 more webinars to go. I hope that you will join me tomorrow for the webinar entitled Scale Your Edupreneurial Venture. How can you scale? And there's the flyer. Here's the flyer for the very final webinar entitled Measure Your Success. That will be on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. I do want to let you know about the Edupreneurship Academy. Here's one way for you to build your edupreneurial orbit. You can sign up for one-on-one edupreneur coaching with me. We'll have 2 30-minute Zoom sessions each month where you check in and I give you personalized guidance. We go through strategic planning. I'll give you customized feedback, whether that looks like me looking at your website, your proposals, your contracts. I can give you customized feedback for those particular things to improve your business. There will be some goal setting and accountability, and I'll also connect you with industry experts that can help you. And that is provided to you at the current rate of $170 per month, but that will increase at the end of June. So you want to get in now. We are excited that we will host our inaugural Edupreneur Accelerator Retreat next year, June 12th through the 14th. This is a 3-day, all-inclusive, exclusive retreat, and it is an intensive that is available only to those who are in our Edupreneurship Academy. The fee for it is $3,275. Your lodging is included, as well as all of the materials and the resources that you'll need for the 3-day retreat. If you need to provide that payment on a month-to-month basis, that fee is $290 per month. Let's get ready for the retreat. It's going to be amazing. Speaking of our edupreneurial orbit and the Edupreneurship Academy, you can also join us in the Edupreneur Success Community. We have weekly challenges, member spotlights, as well as collaborative support there. We'll have a monthly group Zoom session where you'll also have the opportunity to earn an income. And here is the mastery series that I mentioned, those courses that will give you even more details on how to secure a lucrative contract or lucrative contracts. You can learn more about that here in our mastery series. Here is my contact information. Please feel free to contact me if you need any assistance or if you have any questions. My email address is hello@drericajewell.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. I've placed my TikTok QR code in the bottom right corner just in case you would like to follow me there. And finally, what questions can I answer for you? Are there any questions that you may have? If so, please put those in the chat or come off mute and let me know. I can stop sharing my screen now to see if there are any questions. Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining me.